Assalamu alaikum. I am Syahrin Besar from Faculty of Modern Language and Communication, University Putra, Malaysia. Today I'm going to present my topic entitled Communication Strategies in an Interactional Approach to Mastering Malay Language as a Second Language among the Indian immigrants involved with Sabah. And here are the topics to cover in this presentation. And first, research background. Problem statement. Survey and pilot study conducted by the researcher 2013. It was found that the more practical and effective second language mastery methods, especially the mechanisms that should be used, are still poorly understood and applied in the field of second language proficiency. Research questions 1. What are the communications strategies that's being used by the Indian immigrants in mastering the Sabahan dialect Malay language as their second language? And research question 2. How communication strategies construct being used by Indian immigrants involved with Sabah's non-native speakers while practicing their second language, their local interlocutors as native speakers. One of the most recent studies is a study conducted by Muhammad Helmi and Putri Roslina 2016 on a group of SJKC students. The study was conducted on the oral communication strategies of the students and found that the message abatement strategies, 57%, was the dominant strategy, followed by the appeal of cooperation, 13%, and explanation, 9%. The objective of the study was to identify the types of strategies used by non-native speakers in studying the second language, but aspects of the interactional mechanisms were not included in the study limitations. The study of these 130 selected students showed that interactive oral learning strategies are very important in building second language skills. The most recent study was conducted by Syahrin 2017, which studied personnel and traders who were directly involved with overseas travelers. Studies found that the mechanisms of repetition, comprehensions, check, and clarification check are dominant in the use of Long's interactional mechanisms. The study conducted by Hisham Zaini 2017 on the mastery of second language by interaction emphasizes that language learning does not only require cognitive factor but also involves all learning elements, including cognitive, physical, mental, and emotional aspects as well as active interaction with the linguistic environment of the target language and interlocutor. This is consistent with the study conducted by Abdul Rashid Jamian, Shamsuddin Osman, and Sufiza Isaac 2013 to identify forms of verbal interaction often used by teacher in the teaching of the Malay language in the classroom. The study sample consisted of 113 teachers in 13 regular secondary schools in rural areas in Kluang District, Johor. The study also found that appropriate strategies as well as the interactional approach are vital to assist in the mastery of second language. Studies also show that input which is comprehended is useful in interaction activities that involve communicating information and meaning negotiation. Accurate and understandable inputs help corrective feedback and understanding is emphasized by Akiyama and Saito 2017. Furthermore, the study also found that conversation improvement is closely related to understanding and fluency. These aspects of interaction play an important role in everyday communication that facilitates the process of language acquisition within non-native speakers through Long's interactive mechanisms theory, namely 1. Repetition, 2. Confirmation check, 3. Comprehension check, and 4 clarification requests. These language approaches and mechanisms are referred to as language learning or mastery strategies. A strategy is defined as any action or plan undertaken to achieve a goal. And here the methodology: design, qualitative study, sample 27 Indian immigrants residing in Beaufort for 1 to 5 years, location Pekan Beaufort, Sabah, and time start from June 2015 to June 2016. And here the procedure. Since this is a qualitative study, then the flow of the study procedure is less complicated. The process cycle step back only occurs at the stage of data collection and data analysis, as shown here before the results are being reported. And now here are the research findings. 60 verbatim transcription were selected from 1,221 samples of data. The researcher extracted study units for repetition strategy that consisted 52 study units from 15 verbatim transcribed conversations. Meanwhile, confirmation check strategy comprised of 23 study units from 15 verbatim transcribed conversation. The comprehension check strategy consisted of 17 study units from 14 verbatim transcribed conversations. Lastly, the clarification request strategy comprised of 27 study units from 16 verbatim transcribed conversations. A total of 119 study units were extracted and analyzed from the selected verbatim transcribed conversations. The distribution is illustrated in the table shown here. And here are the discussions. In this study, the mechanism of repetition was widely used, 43.69% by the study subjects for a specific purpose. Among these goals are training methods or a place to practice the language aspects acquired, and sometimes serves as a method of experimenting with the language element. The second form of communication strategy identified is confirmation check at 19.33%. The communication strategy of confirmation check in this study comprises of repetition of words, phrases, or sentences previously understood by the non-native speakers. It is repeated in conversation to determine whether the details comprehended is the same as uttered by the native speaker. This is because of the uncertainty of the non-native speakers about one or more details of the message being delivered due to constraints of individual responses. Based on long 1996, it also occurs as a result of need for certainty. Comprehension check is a strategy and communication strategy employed by the native speakers to the non-native speakers. It is a way for the native speaker to identify the level of understanding and to confirm that the message conveyed is acceptable. This strategy is important as one of the components in meaning negotiations. The communication strategies of clarification request is a mechanism in the interactional approach that involves the response from anyone, including native speakers or non-native speakers, to obtain a response in the form of further clarification on the details of a matter. It is also a strategy to get more detail on the topics being discussed. Both the speakers use it to find out if there is a need to know more about the information obtained earlier. In the corpus of the study, the subjects were found to be using the strategies of the study units at 22.69%. And here are the conclusion. Mastering strategy of the interactional approach is fully utilized. The interactional approach strategy is found to be divided into the following groups by types of interactional groupings and type of strategy. The types of interactional strategy structure are 1. Repetitions, 2. Confirmation check, 3. Comprehension check, and 4. Clarification request. Some of them have met the criteria of analyzing a unit that met the objectives and later refined by verbatim transcription. Repetition is the most used component of 43.69%. Confirmation check mechanism at 19.33%. Comprehension check mechanism at 14.29% and clarification request mechanism at 22.69%. The results are expected to contribute significantly to the field of second language learning or second language acquisition studies. Further, the work of assessing the effectiveness of methods used in conventional second language mastering pathways. One of the alternative referrals either to the language teaching and planning authorities or to those interested in the field of second language proficiency. Through the interactional perspective used, the goals of the study are assisted in mastering second language by giving a human touch and naturalistic approach. And that's all from me. Thank you very much, and Assalamu alaikum.